Are you ready to make your real estate portfolio recession proof? After watching this video, you're going to learn to do so. You're going to learn the 5 different ways that's going to keep the recession from ever impacting you and your real estate portfolio. And it's all going to begin right after this. Hi everyone, I'm Josh Tavares, investor and realtor with DXP Realty Brokerage. It'd be so great if you can help us out and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to get updates on our newly uploaded content. And if you're looking to invest in real estate at a low price point, great cash flow, great appreciation with little to no involvement, click the link below, let's book a call, and let's partner together. And without further ado, let's begin. With the recession taking place, we have a lot of investors who are scared and not knowing how to recession-proof their business and how everything is going to unfold. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, but here's some things that you need to look out for as an investor to create a recession-proof business. That these are mistakes that you need to avoid, or else the recession is going to hit your business hard. Number one, the first thing you need to look at is focusing on real estate with cash flow. During this time, this is not the time to go about purchasing overpriced real estate that doesn't cash flow or properties that the numbers just don't make sense. Things continue to rise in terms of the cost of living, interest rates, and just cost of everything in general. So right now, you don't want to purchase a property that you can barely afford to attain itself, and then interest rates keep going up, especially with a variable rate mortgage, and utilities continue to go up. You don't want to have that happen, and then you have to dip into your own funds, reserve funds, or your own checking funds, personally held, and then have to take care of that property. We want to focus on real estate that cash flows on its own, takes care of itself. Ideally, at minimum, takes care of all of its expenses. Now, we're not into this business to just have the property just take care of itself. Essentially, we want to have some cash flow that we can live off of. But right now is the time that you want to look at real estate that cash flows, that takes care of itself, because this is not the time to spend even more money with the circumstance that we're in this current time. Now, if you were an investor before the recession that was all about finding properties, great appreciation, great equity, having the ability to perhaps refinance in about 5 years' time based on high appreciation and equity factors, but with low cash flow or negative cash flow, it's not the time to do so, because like I mentioned, it's going to be really difficult to sustain your own personal life. If you have a property that's negative cash flow, about $500 every single month, you're essentially having to take out $500 every single month and put it back into that property. And given this time, that is not what you need to be focusing on. You want to continue looking for distressed properties that are undervalued, with sellers, of course, who are very anxious to sell the property, getting a great deal, get it renovated, having the funds to do everything, of course, and then be able to get constant positive cash flow. Number 2 is reduce your debts. If you have the ability to reduce your debts, let's say example, you have some credit card bills that you haven't paid in full, but you have access to some savings or some line of credit you could perhaps use, it's a good idea to go about doing so at this point in time. By decreasing your debts, essentially you're going to, of course, decrease the amount of payments you have to make every single month. So if you've got some funds in your savings account that you're able to use to put down, let's say your $5,000 credit card, guess what? You're not going to be having to pay those minimal payments of $200, $300, $400, $500 every single month. That's more money that you can keep every single month. And same thing goes with other types of loans you have on your properties. If there is a way that you can go about, let's say, paying off a line of credit attached to a property, then guess what? That's probably going to be a couple $100 you can save towards upgrading the property or towards cash flow that you can live off yourself. If you're able to do so, the bank's going to like it, because your credit score is going to increase, which means that it shows you can handle debt, pay it off, which means they're more likely to increase your line of credits, which of course is a much better debt than a credit card, and they're going to allow you to increase your limits, in which down the road, when the recession tends to bowl over, or when you're looking to acquire more properties, you can use that as a form of leverage to purchase more properties, have access to more debt, which you can use, of course, good debt, you can purchase more properties. Remember, there is a difference between good debt and bad debt. We don't want to be paying 24% interest every single month on credit cards. We'd rather be paying 5 to 7% on a line of credits. That's purchasing an asset for us, in which we're using the cash flow to pay off the interest rate and even some principal on that loan. Number 3, this is an easy one here, increasing efficiency and reducing costs. With increasing efficiencies, especially with utilities, you're going to cut back on your gas, water, hydro. It's going to make a massive impact, especially as renovations that you're going to go about working with high efficiency appliances or anything that's going to cut back on any usage. This can lead to multiple hundreds of dollars every single month in savings, not only for yourself, but also for tenants as well. If you're going about splitting and sending over the check over to your tenants in terms of having them pay for the utilities, they're going to like it, and it's going to be more affordable for them to stay longer, which means you'll have less turnover for tenants. That's why it's really important to look at any ways we can cut back on expenses, whether it is changing your toilet to high efficiency toilet, changing all your power outlets, using power bars that are high energy efficient. Like I mentioned, all the appliances, especially washer and dryer that are high efficiency. Anything that you can think of that's unique, LED lights, that's going to cut back on consumption and save on costs is really going to help you in the long run. Number 4, this is an important one you should be doing all the time, but especially during recession, is doing additional due diligence on your tenants. With the recession, it's even more important to do due diligence on tenants. Reason being is this is a time you need to cut back, and you don't want to be in a position where you won't be able to financially attain the property. You want to have great tenants who are going to pay in full, on time, take care of your property, and not cause any disturbances. So if anything, you need to do the additional levels of due diligence in terms of like seeing what their home looks like, seeing what their car looks like, of course, their credit score. You need to get a job reference letter. You want to work with a reputable like property management services online. You can use like Equifax that can provide a whole rundown. There's other companies out there that'll be able to do a full report of anyone who submits an application to see if they're actually a good fit or not, all the way down to how much money they have in their savings, how much they have in their checkings, you know, all the debts and everything they have associated in one profile. That's going to be important because some cities, states, and provinces are not very landlord friendly, and by having a not very good tenant during this time is going to really impact your property. It could take maybe a year, 9 months, however, and cost tons of money in damages and lost rent that it could sometimes cost some investors 30, 50 grand, sometimes even over $100,000 in expenses that it's just not a good position to be in. Number 5, work on necessary repairs. This is very important to do something as such. You don't want to have any massive issues that can impact you, especially later. Let's say we're talking about things like the roof. If you have a roof that's not in the greatest condition, you're better off working on it now if you have the funds to do so. If it's going to cost you $10,000, $15,000, it might be a better suggestion to work on it now than later on. Right? Anything that can cost you issues down the road, it might be better to work on it now. Same thing too, if you have perhaps a plumbing issue, some sort of mold happening, you want to work on that sooner than later. If there's some sort of a electrical issue and one of the fuses isn't working properly or one of the outlets are not working properly, you might want to work on that sooner than later, because that can not only be a health violation, but it costs you major costs in legal fees. I know there are many different investors that get into investing, don't spend any money into any of their properties, provide very minimal maintenance, and then wonder why they have such a high insurance bill, because the insurance company is going to say, hey, I'm not insuring this property for what it was before. It's in terrible shape and you've had too many insurance calls already, so we're not going to insure this property, or we're going to charge you a ridiculous amount, like thousands and thousands of dollars, maybe tens of thousands of dollars every single year on your premium, just because you didn't take care of your property years back. Now, these are the type of investors you probably, if you see their property, you're probably not going to want to invest in their property because it's going to be too much money, too much liability, unless you're a massive investor who has, let's say, multiple millions and you're willing to, you know, purchase some of these properties that have a lot more work, a lot more money needed to invest in and get them up and running. Then maybe it makes sense. But personally, we like to look for properties that are more cosmetically appealing upgrades needed, essentially, over anything else. We don't want to get properties that have too many mechanical issues, have plumbing issues, have roofing issues, have basement issues, have foundation issues. We're not looking for that. That costs way too much money, and it's not worth purchasing those properties. That's why it's very important also when it comes to repairs. You need to understand how to maintain your property in terms of for the winter. You want to clean off the eaves, you want to shut off all the valves, you want to make sure that all the different areas of your windows are all caulked and all ready to go, and there's no surfaces that can come on in, because that can also add on to your utility bills later on and also really deteriorate your property quick over time, costing you thousands and thousands of dollars down the road in maintenance. And this is a bonus one for staying all the way to the end and having more reserves on hand. Reserve funds, like I mentioned before, are very important for any investor, whether it's through cash, it's through credit cards, line of credits, ideally line of credits over credit cards, stocks, bonds, anything you have as such that you're able to make liquid that you can use towards funds. It's very important to do so, especially during this time of recession. With things taking place, it's important to have the reserve funds because in the event there is a major maintenance or there is major renovations to be taking place when tenants are leaving, it may take longer to have supplies come in or the work get done, as well as it may take longer to have tenants come on in. So with everything taking place, you want to have extra funds on site because there's such a shortage of skilled labor. Even materials are costing a lot more money and things are becoming a lot more difficult to obtain in terms of resources. You want to have more funds on site. So in the event that you do need some sort of a repair, something does take place, a tenant leaves, you're having landlord-tenant board issues, you have more funds readily available. Like I said, whether it's stocks, bonds, cash, credit, anything that you're able to make liquid within a short period of time, you want to use that and have the ability to have that save you in the event that something drastic takes place. I hope that video was super helpful and insightful and gives you everything you need to know about being recession proof, especially at this time. I'm Josh Tavares, investor and realtor at the eXp Realty Brokerage. It'd be so great if you can help us out and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to get updates on our newly uploaded content. And if you're looking to invest in the US with great cash flow, under $100,000 price points, great appreciation, great equity, completely hands-off with property management, guess what? Book a call with us. Let's partner together. Let's get this going. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Take care.